Hey everybody, and welcome to the second update of my training with OTA Elite Vertical Academy. I just finished phase 2, the eccentric phase of the program. In the last video I made a review about phase 1, the isometric phase, where it's all about laying the foundation. You can find the video in my training playlist. I put the link down below in the description. It's been a few weeks since then and I just completed phase 2, which is the so-called absorption or eccentric phase. And in this training block the focus switches towards deceleration. That means the workouts follow the same structure as they did in phase 1, but now everything is performed with an emphasis on the eccentric portion of the movement. You get to perform some specific eccentric exercises, strength exercises, as well as some hypertrophy and core work. And just like phase 1, we still don't perform any kind of fancy stuff or advanced plyometrics yet. The program at this point is still more about building on the foundation. So deceleration training might be overlooked sometimes, but in my opinion it's a very important piece when it comes to improving your athletic abilities. It teaches your body to handle more force when you think about a vertical jump. It's about landing abilities, but also in any kind of dynamic movement, you need to be able to stop or change direction rapidly, especially in a sport like basketball. And the other thing eccentric training provides, it trains some important mechanisms within the body, which are the stretch shortening cycle and the stretch reflex. So with the stretch shortening cycle, you can think of it as kind of a rubber band effect on a movement like an approach vertical jump. When you go through this movement, you will build up some elastic energy on your run up and on the eccentric part when you're lowering your hips. And now you want to be able to convert this elastic energy to create as much force as possible on the way up. Another mechanism in the body is the Golgi tendon reflex, caused by the Golgi tendon organ, the GTO. This is basically a protective mechanism which recognizes the lengthening of a muscle and causes the muscle to relax if a certain amount of force is exceeded. And this has a huge inhibitory effect on dynamic movements, as your muscles could theoretically produce higher amounts of force, but the GTO signals them to relax. But if you stress the GTO with eccentric movements in your training, it's possible to reduce this inhibitory effect. So, how do we apply this in our training? Right here in the first part of every workout, after mobility and your dynamic warm-up, we get to perform specific deceleration exercises and plyometrics. Just like in phase 1, the program uses different modalities. Here we got some new exercises, like the Russian lunges, and we get some approach jumps, where the focus is always on the landing. There's a unilateral variation where you have to land in a deep split lunge position, and in the bilateral variation, the landing is in a squat position. And the key with these exercises is always to stick the landing. There's also a progression in the low-level plyometrics as we start to add some weight, and some plyometrics like box jumps are performed with an eccentric focus as you go down slowly for a given amount of seconds. Same principle is for strength. For example, we got the back squat, and instead of holding the bottom position like we did in phase 1, now it's about going down slowly for some seconds. And we're gonna do the same exact thing for auxiliaries. Right here there's even a progression through the weeks as you increase the time of the eccentric phase. And just like phase 1, this is really tough and puts a lot of stress on the central nervous system. Just when you think phase 1 is finally over, phase 2 is not gonna be any easier. But although this may not be the most fun, deceleration training is extremely important and has a lot of benefits when you try to improve your vertical jump. So always keep that in mind when you're going through some tough stretches in any program. And talking about rough stretches, the start of this training block didn't quite work out as I hoped for, and my goal of beating the previous performance from last year was really in danger for me. First of all, I had to split the first week of this phase because I wasn't at home for a few days. So far that's really not a problem, it just took me 2 weeks to complete the first week of the training block. Then I really had to overcome some adversity when I twisted my ankle again playing basketball. Fortunately nothing serious again and the pain disappeared after some days. But on top I also got a food poisoning, lost some weight. This took me some days to recover and I didn't feel good at all in week 2. Now this was the time where I wasn't sure if I might fail on my goal to beat my previous performance, to be honest. But I just tried to fight through it, even though I felt really bad on a couple of workouts. At some point I knew this just had to happen. I mean, the program is 16 weeks, that's a long time and you can't expect that you feel great every week. But finally I felt way better midway through the second week and week 3 really went good, with some improvement again. On top, the weather was surprisingly good for late February and I could already train a lot outdoors. So overall I can close the absorption phase on a positive. The first 2 training blocks have been extremely challenging with the isometrics and the eccentric phase, but to be honest I didn't expect anything else. Finally, I just got my second deload week after phase 2 and now we are already halfway through the program. In terms of my vertical, unfortunately I didn't have a chance to test it out after the deload week because our gym was closed, but I had a really good session earlier right in the first week of the eccentric phase. I hit some dunks and might have had one of my best jumps ever, but unfortunately I missed the dunk. Again, I didn't try too many jumps during the training block, but what I noticed was that I had some improvements when it comes to quickness and agility on the court. And that's also a very underrated benefit of the training in my opinion. Next, in phase 3, which is the concentric phase, we start to put the pieces together and especially improve the rate of force development. So I guess you could say this is where the fun starts, but don't get me wrong, this is also challenging and you want to go all out on your workouts. But when I think about it, last time I did the EVA, the concentric phase was not as exhausting as the isometric or eccentric phase. Right now I've done the best I could to build a solid base going into phase 3 and I hope this will ultimately lead me to some more gains, so I'm really excited to start the next training block. Again, I want to provide you with another update after phase 3. This phase is also gonna take 3 weeks plus a deload and I plan to make the video during or after my deload week. So if you're interested how this is gonna work out, feel free to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And as always, I'm looking forward to your questions or feedback, just drop them down below in the comments. Again guys, I really appreciate all of your messages that I received under the last videos. But that's it for now, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.